Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to today's episode of When Life Met Revelation. Today, inshallah, we're going to be talking about haters. That's haters. People who criticize you and work against you and try to sabotage things behind the scenes, and they backbite and they spread rumors. You know what I mean? Haters. That's what we're talking about. I learned a lesson many years ago dealing with haters. And in fact, the lesson that I learned, I just picked it up from some random lecture. But it actually turned out that it wasn't the correct advice that I should have been given. And then I met with a mentor that set the record straight. So the year was 1993, and I was listening to an Islamic lecture on a cassette tape back in the day, and the speaker was talking about hypocrites, munafiqeen. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us. He was talking about the hypocrites, and then he said, how can you build a wall, right? How can you place bricks and build a wall when on the other side of the wall are 10 people trying to pull down every brick that you try building up? So when I heard that, I was young, I was impressionable, and I thought to myself, that makes so much sense. How can I build something? How can I place a brick for a dawah, for Islam, and on the other side are 10 haters pulling this brick down? In the scheme of life, if we were just talking about physics and math, then yes, you've got 10 times the people pulling things down than the person building up, so you can never build anything. And that, unfortunately, was the lesson that I inadvertently picked up from this lecture. But then many years later, after I had graduated from Medina University and I traveled back to the USA and I was living there and I started al-Maghrib Institute, and haters started building up, of course, as any good work that you do, the haters come along. When that happened, in the back of my mind, I still had that message: how can I build something when there's 10 people on the other side of this wall trying to take it down? And then something happened, and in order for me to share this lesson, I need to take you back, way back. The year was 2004, and I was sitting with some shuyukh, some mentors. Alhamdulillah, I thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that I had that opportunity to be in the companionship of people who were older than me and had more wisdom. And as I was explaining some of the hardships in the da'wah and some of the haters and the different things that were taking place, I made this statement that I heard in a cassette tape many years ago. And I said to the sheikh, I said, how can you build a wall if with every brick you put up, there's 10 people on the other side ready to pull that brick down? And I just remember the sweetest tone of the sheikh as he said to me, Akhi Muhammad. He said, my brother Muhammad, my younger brother Muhammad, he's much older than me. And he said, I want you to understand that if Allah wants that wall to be built, then nobody can tear down that wall. And if Allah wants that wall not to be built, it doesn't matter what you do, it'll never be built. And I said, subhanallah, because at that moment, life met revelation, and I knew which hadith he was talking about. Here is where you'll find that profound lesson in hadith. The Prophet ﷺ said,
Young man, I shall teach you some words of advice. Be mindful of Allah and Allah will protect you. Be mindful of Allah and you will find Him in front of you. If you ask, ask of Allah, and if you seek help of Allah. Know that if the nation were to gather together to benefit you with anything, it would benefit you only with something that Allah has already prescribed for you. And that if they gather together to harm you with anything, they could only harm you with something that Allah has already prescribed for you. The pens have been lifted and the pages have dried.
This is what you need to understand, that if a hater tries closing a door to you, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants you to go in that direction, then it doesn't matter if the door is closed. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can bring a flood to crush that door and everything around it and open the path for you. Everything is in the hands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But anyway, we'll leave that for another day, inshallah ta'ala. Remember, you can comment below, and I'm going to pick 3 questions that get voted up, and I'll answer them, inshallah ta'ala. So please, share with us. Jazakallah khairan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.